everybody, it's RPG Grandma. And this showed up. This actually had it had wrapping on it. It's in excellent condition. This is one that had already been opened, you know, a little bit. There's 3 of these that were made. The other one is also ordered. This one did not come with its book. It did come with how to use the stuff. And also the book came with other stuff. So we're going to talk about that because this one had everything. So, because I took the cellophane off, the plastic covering. So the plastic covering was keeping, let me get everything out of here, this in place. It was on the back of the box. Like I said, it has everything. So right now, all the Mitten box people going, no! Look, I play with my stuff. I can't help it. If you don't want me to play with stuff, you got to send me extra. It's just the way it is. And even then, I'll probably give it to somebody to play with. So, these are chit dice. Hopefully, no. I know that's what these are. I'm pretty sure. Back from the days when dice weren't included, so there's no dice in here. Dice were in shortage. Okay, it came with basic role-playing game, which is basically a stripped 16-page version of RuneQuest. So excited about that. I actually really am. I need to find some old RuneQuest books. Got to make money up here for that for the hubby. He's a RuneQuest guy today. It also came with a basic adventure for game referee only. Now the other one didn't come with that. I don't know if it was supposed to. So if anybody knows what, I know it had some of the same stuff. It was supposed to have the basic role-playing game rules, which really I just need one set of those. Probably was supposed to have a set of these. Maybe it was supposed to have a little one of these. Okay, awesome. Let me know. The archives department. These were things I saw, but couldn't justify getting, but I want now. There's a reason. Okay. Well, since only 3 boxes were made, and since I managed to find them reasonably priced, basically what's killing me is the shipping. I got them. Picked them up. Because I'm on a budget. I'm on a constant budget. But these are things I had ordered. So, it also comes with, yes. What do those look like, people? Look like a monster to you? Mm-hmm. Looks like a monster to me. Oh, look. Adventures. So I'm curious what Fantasy Paths had in their little chits. I wonder if I have all the stuff. I have to look. But it looked to me like it was an unopened box. Or had been only opened enough to make sure it had everything. So this is cool, exciting. I've played with these kind of things before. They are a great stand-in. That's why I keep asking everybody why, if you're learning a new game, and you don't want to spend too much money, some of these old school things are the way to go. Stuff like this. Looks like they have a coating too. So, at any rate, so got this stuff. And that includes for if you're a war gamer. My gosh, they used to use like wood blocks and stuff. Come on. But Warhammer stuff for the army building is cool. The minis are cool. However, if you're just trying to learn the game, to get started, paper armies are good. Especially if you don't know what you want to do with wargaming. Then you can transition to better stuff once you really know what you want. So, what we got here? Well, like Fantasy Paths, it's double-sided, and people are like, well, that's very. Oh, this one's a little warped, but that's fixable. That's what heavy books are for. You just put the heavy books on top and let it sit. Are like, well, things like that. I mean, they have their limitations. Of course, they have their limitations. However, I'm working on problem solving something else here, and what's going to work for me best with my paper dungeon ideas. And I should show you where we are on that. I've got to do some work on it. But I've got space issues to think about. And that's one of the reasons I'm looking at these things. And I kind of like the design of these. So if I was to make a whole bunch from scratch, I want to see what sort of cardboard height I'm dealing with, color scheme, so I can make other shapes from scratch. And this is a complete set, and it's in very nice shape. Hi everybody, I got lots of dogs here. Things happen. So I wanted to give you an idea about what these little pieces look like on here. I have to get them out and measure them. But if I were going to use them for a template, that's exactly what I'm going to might do, is I might measure them. I'm also going to stack them up to regular minis here, see how they fit. But if you do traveling and you have to bring your game stuff with you, and you want to bring some stuff and not have it all be theater of the mind, there's reasons to do that, including you just like the stuff. You might want something that travels a bit lighter than your standard minis. All right. So we're going to talk about scale here in a second. So hold on. So the mapping project for lightweight stuff, and this is me trying to map out in 3D an old school map. It's a project. It's stalled because things have been happening, but I want to show you the difference. So this is an example of one floor I did, and I realized maybe my scale was off, so I bumped everything up, and when I did, that's how much bigger the next floor got. So these two floors are not that different in size on a map, but once I tried to move them three-dimensionally with what I was experimenting with here and design features and stuff, some things are hand-drawn, some things are printed out from PDFs you can purchase or find for free. Hand-drawn stuff I did in specific styles. Some stuff's colored in. Sometimes it's a mix of both. But my point being here is this is what one part of the experiment that I'm working with here. Mainly because I don't make big things like this normally. And normally it's theater of the mind or a few props, that kind of thing. It's not that I'm not capable of making big things, just where do you store it, right? So I'm trying to figure out how to create what I want to create and have the storage. So where we go with this map, I'm not quite sure yet, but I'll be picking it back up here in a sec. And how I'm going to use that with things like village paths is what I'm thinking about. So hold on. I'm going to flip back over to the village path stuff. So when I look at something like this, I've got this little door. A door like this could be made probably to work with it. Easy enough. I don't know if you can see. And that is a thought I am having, is making lots of little floor parts, which I've already started doing some of. Taking things like this homemade door threshold. Now this, let's see, this side was printed out and I colored it in. So I just did black and white scale, and then on the other side I hand drew the other side. But my point is, something like this would slide in and work with something like this as a connector between hallways or whatever. So I'm moving towards that direction with the project. Even though the project will have very specific rooms and styles for different floor levels and stuff, and making my own these things that then go with that specific dungeon, so then they can be stored in a much flatter box, and then all I have to do is worry about the adventure that goes with it and how I have that set up. And see, because things like this would store easily enough. These little cute doors that I have printed out here and made, and would work. And so things like, and the other advantage is something like this, which, like, let me get a little piece here, like something like this capstone here. Yeah, I've built, torn down, rebuilt. People probably think I'm crazy. That had an accident. Both of them have had accidents, and that's all part of the process. Like, how am I going to store it where it doesn't get broke? Because right now I cannot do that with these. They're too solid. At the same time, I don't want something that's flimsy. But then I the whole floor is visible, and so then I have to make things to go over it. I don't want to do that either. So I've really been experimenting and thinking about how I want to do this. But let's say there's something on a pre-printed one of these, the pre-made one, and you just want to recycle a piece, and you don't want that thing there anymore. And what you're going to do is you're going to have a cover piece, for example, and I'm just using this random thing to cover it, and then that would sit on top of that thing. No, I don't. I mean, I've got some. I don't have the box of all the extra little pieces and stuff, but that I've been working on. But yeah, I'm thinking for adding a little 3D texture, because that's all I'm doing to a game, is doing things like that will be the best approach. There's a wall there because of the way it's shaped. But, dropping a door there, and then I've got ones that show the door open, is a way to go as well. It also allows me to make more blank, more generic ones then, that don't have anything in them. It's got little writing, all that good stuff. And then I can just drop doors on top that are more specific to what I want, things like that. Drop the traps in after they've been sprung, that kind of thing. And clearly part of this, looking at it, is raised because you got like the tops right there. So these are cool. These are way cool. My goal is to have a complete set of the original printed ones and then make a lot of additional ones out of stuff I've been doing, and get them cleaned up and looking nice, and then use them, whether they were printed out from a company and put on cardstock, which is what we got here. This is like probably cereal box, and I just printed the paper, or whether I printed it directly onto cardstock, and have things that then I can modularly put out. That way, if I'm working in a smaller space, I'm not taking up the biggest space. If I have to transport the stuff anywhere, not taking up as huge a space. If I want to mix and match stuff that's a little bit heftier that I've built, I can do that. And I can continue to work with less complete huge models and more of symbolic bits and pieces, because that is easier to store. I love the huge models. I love building models. I've built them since I was a kid. I like building stuff from scratch. It's not the deal here. It is what's going to work best for the things I want to do and the places I need to go. And one of the reasons I'm doing and really doubling down hard on minis when most of my gaming experience is not that. Most of my model building was for like HO scale stuff, or 1/72 armies for playing with armies. So small scale. And then like figurines, they were like one-off. Somebody, ooh, it's a cool monster. Let's paint it and put it in the game. And everybody maybe had a little miniature or something symbolic of their character, chess piece or whatever. Those would be used like, what's your marching order? Or where do you think you are relative to the monster, or whatever. If people are having visual aid problems, chess pieces are your friend. Or we use little chits because the game came with them, like this one. If the game had it. A lot of times we didn't even do that, even if the game had it. We did a lot of just theater of the mind. It's what they call it now. We just call it role-playing back then. You didn't even think about terms for kids, for goodness sakes. I've noticed that a lot of people have trouble visualizing stuff today. They just do. They have, like they can't visualize how far a distance is, what can fit into something. I've literally watched people way older than they should be take a container that's clearly bigger. So, and maybe it's not completely full, but it's clearly bigger and it's got a bunch of liquid in it. And they got a smaller container that's clearly not big enough for that liquid, because they don't have the ability to comprehend that, even though they are way past that developmental age. And no, there's nothing wrong with them. And then try to put that amount of liquid into the smaller container that's too small, and then wonder why it doesn't fit. Because they weren't given the same toys I was, and other people in my life who are in my generation were. They were given Leapfrog, and Leapfrog's great and all, and similar type toys, and they were given the TV set, and they were given the internet, and maybe they were given a few traditional toys, but they like totally missed out on the square peg. Doesn't fit in the circle, and volume toys and Tinker toys. They missed out on all that stuff. So what happens is they're very challenged when I get them. And so even if you're describing things well, even if you're like, go ahead, ask lots of questions, and they do, they just don't see it. You have to like build stuff. And then they're like, oh, you know. So now they can get there, but it takes several sessions. And so having experiences firsthand in people who should have these skills, these abstract ability to comprehend the stuff, I think there's been some educational shortfalls in a lot of people's childhood. And so then you see it either in their teens years or their adulthood, that they're having this problem. And when I talk to them, oh, I just can't imagine that. I have this condition. And it's like, I don't think so, because they are able to imagine certain things. These are things that they're very familiar with. Like, they do know that there's something behind the apple. Okay, if you give them an apple, if you tell them to, okay, how big do you think an apple is? They eat lots of apples, they'll be able to do that. So you have to help them. And also they're just fun to play with. You know, sometimes you get a really cool vision in your head and you just want to build the thing, for darn sakes. So this project stalled a little bit, but that's okay. I knew when I started this project I'd be experimenting a lot with different ways to getting things to stick to things and different glues and how am I going to solve this problem or that problem. And I reuse a lot of this stuff. So if I tear it up, it gets reused. It gets recycled and turned into something else. So that's where kind of like these projects are at. They're in the I don't like how it's coming along for a variety of reasons. And I want something flatter and easier to transport. So I'm moving to that, then with things that can be augmented. So like if I wanted walls on one of these, actual walls, then what I want to do is sit down and figure out how a wall like this can be integrated with this and have it look cool, you know. And so I'm gonna be working on it. Have fun. It's just a game. It's supposed to relieve your stress, not make your life more stressful. See, this stuff is stress relieving for me. I like building things. I like painting things. So it's okay. I like drawing things. I like making maps. Right now I'm just happen to be exploring somebody else's map. There's reasons to do that. Trust me. There's reasons to look at what other game designers do with a module they built, especially if they are well known for making modules or maps or something. So you can do it. You can make your hand-drawn stuff match a specific style, all that kind of stuff. You can do it. I've got like this one is a combination of hand-drawn on one side and I think not hand-drawn. I mean, I did some of these cobbled ones. I've actually drawn some. Like I had to hand draw some of my own for some reason. And things like that. And others are printed out. So just telling you can do a lot with some ink pens and black and white printouts. My big problem is getting the scale to print out right. I really don't want to have to download another app. It just, and then it gets updated, and then it doesn't work right because it was working before. I hate it. I just want a program that they're not going to mess with. But at any rate, everybody have a great day.